side like African, and the next prefer East Indian. But this way of choosing leaders is a disgrace. Yeah, why? Because a leader must help his country to rise. A good leader, be able to motivate and then mobilize. A good leader, and a leader must be one whose vision is clear, holding ethics and integrity. Yeah. A good leader. Oh yes, a leader should be humble and polite, not wrapped up in ego, arrogant, always picking fight, not a tyrant or a dictator. That is not what this country needs. That will only make my nation lead. His first goal should be service, not self-advancement or greed. Blessed is the one who was born to lead. Oh, good leaders are born, not made. Setting standards is get trade. Blessed is the one who was born to lead. A mentor, a teacher, a trainer. Experience is their greatest tool. Should be discerning, yet forever learning. One who doesn't gladly suffer fools. And in a world that loves a maximum leader, he must know when to let go and delegate. Must be the most able of his peers, not driven by petty fears. And though he can, don't always dominate, because a leader must be blessed with wisdom also. A good leader. Oh, when to take in front and when to follow. A good leader. And a leader must be the one to set the template. So those coming after could duplicate. A good leader. Oh yes, a leader should be humble and polite, not wrapped up in ego, arrogant, always picking fight, not someone seduced by flattery. That is not what this country needs. Not stumbling about like a tumbleweed. His heart should beat with courage, not be coward or weak-kneed. Blessed. Good leaders are born, not made. Being a mentor is their trade. Blessed is the one who was born to lead. We don't want someone always thinking small. No, no. No, no, no. That's not a leader at all. At all, at all. One who always booze, drinking alcohol. No, no, no. That's not a leader at all. At all, no Casanova. Always chasing skirts. No, no. Leader at all. At all, and if it's the treasury that they out to hurt. My. No, no, no. That's not a leader at all. My. Whoa, we don't want that. We can't handle that. Whoa, a leader, we don't want that. We can't handle that. A trickster, a conman, a hustler. We don't need someone specialized in fraud, but want to be respected and never rejected. Here at home and especially abroad, they don't have to be a lawyer or doctor. Their first degree should be common sense. And when it's time to decide, you cannot run, you cannot hide. A firm stand he must take, don't sit on the fence, because a leader mustn't drift like sinking sand. By the courage of his conviction.
Yes, comrades. It's not an easy thing to take on the state. But when I come here I just give him a yearly dose of belly. I just give him a yearly dose of steadfastness. I just give him a yearly dose of commitment. Comrades, they just send people from inside, they send people from outside, they send people in the media, TTT, CNC3, TV6, I-95, the court. Comrades, they send people in the parliament. Because why? We had to fight them. And they tell themselves when they bring all them people, boy, he must give up. And hear what? When they send everybody and the field are still standing up, you know who they send next? They send Christmas. They say when Christmas come in, he must sign 4%. Comrade, thanks to you. Thanks to you, I just reflect on you. When you say no to 4%, I know no matter what to do. So, comrade, I just come here for my yearly dose. So, all you know, I want to hear you this year, comrade. This year, all you have to tell, because of next year, that being an enemy of the state is not no easy thing, comrade. They want to come at WASA. They want to come at BIR. They want to come at customs. They want to come at AGC, NIB. Here now, comrades. They want to come at workers. I don't have no time to talk about struggle, you know. I'm not talking about something like we have a struggle. No, not a struggle we have. We have the PNM administration that we must get rid of. It's time we stop these kind of generic terms. We know what the problem is. And we, the collective in Faizabad, can deal with this problem once and for all. '25 is right round the corner, comrades. I watched the crowd that passed through here today, and I tell you, we can make a government, and we can damn well break a government.
Approaching. Are you all setting aside money for that 10% salary increase that you got promised for?
Still working on it. Looking for money. If you have any, give us some. Thank you all.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Renison Jeffrey. And this is the Workers' Rights Platform. We are broadcasting live on the Workers' Rights Network. Now, to the people that is all over Trinidad and Tobago and by extension the Caribbean, good afternoon to you. Good afternoon to the many of you that are tuning in. Now, on a Wednesday, we don't usually have this type of discussion. We just leave it for a Saturday evening at 7:30 p.m. in where we talk the things. And sometimes we start from 6 where we address certain issues that you, the members of the public, needs to pay attention to. And to the many of you that have reached out to us, yes, we wasn't on for quite some time. Nothing have been broadcasting on this platform for quite some time because the platform would have been hacked. We would have recently retrieved the platform. And according to the technicians, it have been recorded that it might be a little difficult for them to hack. But nothing is impossible in terms of where hacking and things is concerned. These type of upset, it comes with the territory. But today, as promised, we are going to tackle a problem that many of the activists and them is afraid to attack. Because there are still many of you that are outside it that want to curry favor with particular individuals, and watching people still have to beg to know what is taking place with their 10% back pay. And we know over 10,000 people have been placed on the breadline. Them thing is facts. That goes without controversy. But what is more even frightening with what is taking place right about now in Trinidad and Tobago is the silence of union officials. And when I mean silence of union officials, I am talking about the OWTU. I am talking about the PSA. And I am talking about other unions that would have formed this alliance, coalition of interests together with the government. And that needs to be discussed. You see, you can't go about fooling people. Trade unionism have been built on the sweat and the struggles of the average man. That is the make of the union. These average men leave on a morning before the sun go up and they journey to their various work. And at the end of the day, these same individuals come up short. And here what they come up short with. In terms of money and bills, their bills still overweigh and overpower the money that they have. Since 2013, negotiations have been froze going forward. So there are many negotiating periods up till this point. Right now we are in the fourth negotiating period. And people are still asking themselves what is taking place with their 10%. The offer that was touted to them before April 28th. A simple transaction. At the end of the day, when you go to the shop, the shopkeeper asks you how much for the bread. The bread is $10. You give your $10 and then they bring back the bread for you. And if the workers, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, the trade union movement, the membership would have voted, they don't pay the money, many of them are eagerly awaiting the fulfillment of this 10% promise. Because of what? Not because they want it, because they need it. This inflation thing having people up to their necks waiting patiently because they need their back pay. Inflation would have gone through the roof and things are not what it is, and it's not what it seems. But any government, and I'm starting there first, any government that have to lie to win an election has lost their moral authority to govern. The people are not pawns to be fooled with half promises, and half truths. It have been often said, ladies and gentlemen, that the lie have speed, but truth have endurance. We must not remain fools forever. And this program here this evening, before we go on as to talk about this heist, this 10% heist that have been perpetrated, that have been sold to you by the people that you have entrusted your faith in, it must be divulged today on this platform. But before we go into that, there is some definitions that needs to be explained today before we go any further. It is very important that you understand what is taking place. And you see this social manipulation. Today we are going to take off those glasses off of you, and we are going to talk about that today. The first definition that we must know about is definitional retreat. And before I go into this diverse explanation as to what is definitional retreat, let me place this on the screen for you to see. Ladies and gentlemen, Trinidad and Tobago. A definitional retreat happens when someone changes the definition of a word or concept mid-argument to protect their claim from being proven wrong. Instead of admitting defeat, they retreat to a new, narrow, or altered definition. Pay attention in the Trinidad and Tobago, because the deceit is deeper than you expect. So many of you may not understand our explanation. Hence, we must go into examples as to examine the prior statement. Example number 1, a matter of fact. Claim: true patriots always support their government. Argument: counter: that is I or someone else answering the question. But what about when the government is corrupted or oppressive? Many great patriots in history opposed their government, like Gandhi against British rule. The definitional retreat, their response to that action concerning what is the definitional retreat behind the statement involved is, well, by patriot I mean someone who supports the nation's best interests, not necessarily the government. So definitional retreat, when someone make a statement to you and within the statement they change the interpretation or the meaning of a thing midway. You ever hear in our local parlance that this man have an answer for every for a plaster for every sore? That is the meaning of that. Today we had to talk about this. So what here must be proven? Here the person shifted the definition from patriots from supporting the government to supporting the nation's best interests. So their government cannot be disproven. That is definitional retreat. So again, I'm going back again. A recap, a matter of fact. Definitional retreat happens when someone changes the definition of a word or concept mid-argument to protect their claim of being proven wrong. Instead of admitting defeat, they retreat to a new narrow or altered definition. And this again here was one of the examples. Example with the patriot. But what again is more important is his cousin. So before I go on to the explanation, let me look at his cousin, because it's very important that you understand these two terminology before we go further into the discussion. The next cousin is what we call in logic hedging. So when a liar come before you and want to sell you a dream, their two most tactic is what we call definitional retreat and hedging. And hedging is making a statement that is so broad, so hard to pin down. They make a statement, but in that statement they create an escape at the same time. Let me go into that definition. Example of hedging. In logic and argumentation, hedging is when someone's deliberately use vague, cautious or non-committal language to avoid making a clear, testable claim. Instead of standing strongly, they weaken it with words or phrases that leave them an escape route if challenged. So as I say, these definitions is very important before we move forward. The example in logic, let me load on this thing because I want you to understand what we are talking about this evening. The example in logic, strong claim. This is the example with no hedging. Strong claim, no hedging. Hedging a matter of fact. The government is lying about the unemployment rate. That is the strong claim. That is an example without hedging. Hedging claim. Government is probably not being entirely truthful about the unemployment rate. That right here is an example of hedging. The hedge version takes the claim harder to pin down or falsify, since it allows the speaker to retreat if proven wrong. Well, I only said probably. So that is providing an escape route. I know you want to see what is taking place now. So the reason why we would have called this the 10% heist in Trinidad and Tobago at this point in time is because of statements that was made in the media recently. Let God be truth and everybody a liar. Let me get back. Common hedging words or phrases. Probably, maybe, it seems, sort of, kind of, in a sense, as far as I know, to some extent, in God's willing.
To take on the state. But when I come here, I just get my yearly dose of belly. I just get my yearly dose of steadfastness.
Look at this.
I just get my yearly
Give
dose of commitment.
vote to the public servants, the increases, to give you a fair wage for a fair day's work, to give you your back pay.
Wait for it. Here it comes. Almost there.
Are you all setting aside money for that 10% salary increase that you got promised publicly?
God willing, we keep our promises.
So in this fiscal year coming next
God
fiscal
willing, we will keep our promise. Still working on it.
Hey, y'all, come look at this.
Give vote to the public servants, the increases, to give you a fair wage for a fair day's work, to give you your back pay.
Wait for it. Here it comes. Almost there.
Are you all setting aside money for that 10% salary increase that you got promised publicly?
God willing, we keep our promises.
So in this fiscal year coming next
God
fiscal
willing, we will keep our promise. Still working on it.
Ladies and gentlemen, tell me what you would have now understand. Tell me what you would have now understand from the statement of the Honorable Prime Minister. Many of you would have changed who you're voting for. Many of you would have wake up on election morning and our government would have promised something to you. This is not bad talking anybody in it. This is talking the facts. So to care about what people have to say about me, boys, to dislike my very self. Democracy, a matter of fact, demands that our leaders stand on integrity and not dishonesty. And we must constantly, every single time we get a chance, constantly hold the politicians to account. Otherwise, politics will become the art of lying. And side by side, and would have weighed out the options. 10 years of nonsense, of disregard, and a promise of something better. And we say, here we're going on. Let me call my uncle down the road. Let me call my aunt. Let me call everybody. And let us go and vote for the UNC because their promises in concordance to what we have already seen and experienced is better. And to gear up, some of you in it, some of you open the polling booth on election day. Match your family, your friend, everybody. call them before, hey, make sure and vote in the morning, you know. Make sure and vote for UNC. All of us would have taken our due diligence, and on April 28th would have went to the polls. Some of you or your family make you feel so guilty that at the end of the day, some of you would have stayed away according to statistics. Some of you would have stayed away from that altogether and say, oh, you're a politician, I'm not on that. But many of us would have marched to the polls on promises from the union leaders, from the politicians, from our friends, from social media, from influencers. Some of them, it had been rumored that some of them get $40,000 and up. I know. I'm talking after social media. A matter of fact, Faris Al-Rari would have said that within the public domain, that he is in possession of credible evidence that many of them would have gotten a pay. I want to know how much it will cost some of you to sell out. So this is where we reach to here. Now I hope you remember the discussion that we had just a while back, you know. And based on that discussion of definitional retreat and hedging, listen to this video.
UNC is a vote that negotiations will start with no less than 10%.
That this 10% is also for you with the consolidation of the cost of living allowance. Going back to the start of your negotiation period, PNM give you 0.00. Kamla Prasad Bisesa going to give you 10% and the consolidation of COLA.
This is no joking. There's a reason why I stop it there. Now listen to the statement of Comrade Roger. Going and play it. At the beginning of your negotiation period, we are going to start this thing. That is from 2013, 2014, 2015, 2016. We will start from there with 10%. Now, pay attention as to where this thing start to shift. Pay attention, you know.
Vote for the UNC is a vote that negotiations will start with no less than 10%.
That this 10% is also for you with the consolidation of the cost of living allowance. Going back to the start of your negotiation period, PNM give you 0.00. Kamla Prasad Bisesa going to give you 10% and the consolidation of COLA.
Playing with the people is not a joke. Now you hear the statement of Falicia Thomas and Comrade Roger. We are going to start negotiation with 10%. Look, the statement was right there. You hear Roger, you hear Falicia Thomas, and now listen to what they are saying now in public. And I go play the two back to back for you to understand how deceitful how conniving and how dishonest that they are starting the song based on what we are now hearing. And we must be brave to call it out. We have to call a spade a spade. This mustn't be no joke, because at the end of the day, if you go to the parlor and you pay your $10 for the bread and you don't pay it already, and if the shopkeeper and give you the bread or whatever item it might be that you purchase, the rubber, you are now eligible to go in the station and make a report. Because I pay for something, I get up on election morning and vote for something. And now it's a different statement altogether. God's willing. That now we joining up 2 sessions together and we going and give you 10 over 2 period. Or you might get 10 over 2 period. That is the games that Falicia Thomas is playing. That is the games that Leroy Batiste is playing. That is the games that OWTU is playing with you, Trinidad and Tobago. And at the end of the day, what?
Is a vote that negotiations will start with no less than 10%.
That this 10% is also for you with the consolidation of the cost of living allowance. Going back to the start of your negotiation period, PNM give you 000. Kamla Prasad Bisesa are going to give you 10% and the consolidation of COLA.
The period that we are talking about that starts with no less than 10% is the period 14 to 16, 17 to 19, the very same period that we rejected the offer of 4%. As I've said in the past and I'll continue to say, we look forward to no later than this budget, September, October, where workers can finally see that 10% offer placed on the table so that we could recommence negotiations at the period that we are talking about that starts with no less than 10% is the period 14 to 16, 17 to 19, the very same period that we rejected the offer.
Now, what you would have just seen is evidence. If you was following us from the beginning, to the many of you that are following us on YouTube, that are following us on TikTok, that are following us on Facebook, from the inception of the program, we would have laid out 2 definitions: definitional retreat and hedging. Now, judging from the statement of both Falicia Thomas and Comrade Roger, they would have said to you, the general public, that negotiation is going to start with 10%. They talk about 2 periods. That talk about from 2014 to 2016. And from there, we will start to go upwards. But all on a sudden, Falicia clumping everything together, yes. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is being very deceitful. Negotiations is going to start with no less than 10%, and then during the statement, yeah, again, when public pressure start to mount, people might be calling down your phone, hey, ain't you promise us 10%? Waiters. So brilliantly, It started change going along. My God. It started change all of a sudden. All of a sudden things started change. It then starting with 10% again. We want to give you it over 2 negotiating period. And are you telling me today that this is not deception? This is not willingly being deceptive. That is what some of you right-thinking citizens of Trinidad and Tobago want to tell me here. So let me bring back this tape that the many of you outside here could start to take notes and see how this thing is changing. It reached from we will start to 10% to we will try to get it over 2 negotiating period. And the biggest snake of all, Leroy Batiste, is telling you that the Prime Minister say, God willing. And all you watch the timeline in it, because when it started happen, or when it happened, or you will know that it come from here first. I ain't looking for no friend, I ain't looking for no enemy neither. I ain't looking play no big boy thing here this afternoon. I just come to break down the facts for you to understand. It's as if they are telling you, the citizens of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, that 10% might never come. And when I say that, I say all. Let me play the entire clip for you.
Vote for the UNC is a vote that negotiations will start with no less than 10%.
That this 10% is also for you. With the consolidation of the cost of living allowance, going back to the start of your negotiation period, PNM give you 0.00. Kamla Prasad Bisesa are going to give you 10% and the consolidation of COLA.
The period that we are talking about that starts with no less than 10% is the period 14 to 16, 17 to 19, the very same period that we rejected the offer of 4%. As I've said in the past and I'll continue to say, we look forward to no later than this budget, September, October, where workers can finally see that 10% offer placed on the table so that we could recommence negotiations at 10%.
Our commitment given to workers, they include among them, the Prime Minister have openly said, we will find a way to resolve all the negotiation as promised.
God willing, we keep our promises.
So in this fiscal year coming next
God willing, we will keep our promise. Still working on it. Looking for money. If you have any, give us some. Thank you all.
To deny what was just played there. To deny what you would have just seen with your eyes and hear with your ears and see the timeline in which this thing have been said is to be a liar to yourself and to the people that is around you. Negotiations, or we will start negotiation with 10%. The negotiation period that we're talking about is 2 sessions. Are you seeing where this is going in? Now the Prime Minister would have made a promise that she will find a way to settle all these disputes. What you think, Trinidad and Tobago, is the next answer? What you think the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, the Honorable Kamala Persad, is going and say after? When people want to fool people, they don't just start outrightly either. They take things in increments. They start, hey, let me go in the negotiation period, hit them that. Let me start with that. And going through the line knowing that is a promise that may never materialize. Let me start to sow seed. And let them know, hey, we will try. We try our best. We still trying. We looking. We trying to see. We trying to find. And then the next thing that you are going to hear, Trinidad and Tobago, citizens of the Republic, is that it have no 10% for none of you. That is the next thing that you are going to hear. Mark my words.
A vote for the UNC is a vote that negotiations will start with no less than 10%.
That this 10% is also for you with the consolidation of the cost of living allowance. Going back to the start of your negotiation period, PNM give you 000. Kamala Persad are going to give you 10% and the consolidation of COLA.
The period that we are talking about that starts with no less than 10% is the period 14 to 16, 17 to 19, the very same period that we rejected the offer of 4%. As I've said in the past and I'll continue to say, we look forward to no later than this budget, September, October, where workers can finally see that 10% offer placed on the table so that we could recommence negotiations at 10%.
Our commitment given to workers, they include among them, the Prime Minister have openly said, we will find a way to resolve all the negotiation as promised.
God willing, we keep our promises.
So in this fiscal year coming next
God willing, we will keep our promise. Still working on it. Looking for money. If you have any, give us some. Thank you all.
Are you going to fund and finance all these things you have planned for the country?
We found the money and we did it.
A few moments later.
Are you all setting aside money for that 10% salary increase that you were promised publicly?
God willing.
How are you going to fund and finance all these things you have planned for the country?
We found the money and we did it.
A few moments later.
Are you all setting aside money for that 10% salary increase that you were promised publicly?
God willing, we keep our promises.
So in this fiscal year coming next
God willing, we will keep our promise. Still working on it. Looking for money. If you have any, give us some. Looking for money. If you have any, give us some. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, there is a very serious thing, you know. Politics becomes the art of lying when we don't hold government accountable to statements that is made. We must not remain fools forever. We must let the government know, Trinidad and Tobago, that we are not fools. And when they say certain things, we must hold them accountable. Because at the end of the day, many of you, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, would have unanimously cry out to many of the union leaders and them and saying, hey, when the previous government would have proposed this 4%, it was so detestable that many of you would have taken to the streets of Port of Spain, would have speak out all through social media against what was taking place, rightfully so. And when the opposition would have seen that, they would have been calculating their statements after. People lying is not a strategy. You know. Lying is a betrayal. That is what lying is. And before I really head into the meat of the discussion, I had was to expose the truth to many of you, and many of you are not going to take that just so either. Many of you have to see it to believe, because there are people outside there, the words alone is not proof enough. They have to see it to believe it, and I know that there are people like that outside there. Because when certain people come to me with certain cock and bull story, I, Redison Jeffrey, just want to see the proof. And what I do, I sit down and I analyze data and information and weigh out the pros and the cons, the con men and them, that when they try to, when they fool you with this 10%, they're saying hold the fort, no retreat, no surrender. And they are surrendering in Hilton, eating crab and dumpling and a cold stag, and surrendering to a government board position. Clip number 2, where we will start in chronological order as to how, as to show you how they would have preyed on you, the average man, on the streets. Many of us would have taken to Port of Spain when we would have heard this 4%.
Hundreds of members of the trade union movement showed their dissatisfaction on Friday as they reject the government's 4% offer to public sector workers. Show solidarity with Water and Sewage Authority workers and several other unresolved issues. Under the watchful eyes of the police, the 3 overarching labor unions, the National Trade Union Center, the Joint Trade Union Movement, and the Federation of Independent Trade Unions, led their members through the streets of Port of Spain. President of the Public Services Association, Leroy said what the government is proposing as a settlement will also deprive retirees from getting an increase.
Zero for retirees. We must not let that take place, brothers.
Union Center James Lambert and General Secretary of the Joint Trade Union Movement Michael Anisette echoed similar sentiments, calling on members not to get wary. The president of the Oilfield Workers Trade Union hinted that this is just the start of something bigger by the labor movement until they get the desired results.
That you are facing increased prices, that you have to send your children to school, that you are equal to anybody else. Your life and the 1% life is just as important. Nobody more important than you. And you see, to have a decent standard of living, 4% can't do that. What could be 5% can't do that.
Chief Personnel Officer Dr. Daryl Dindial has told the trade unions he would convey their concerns to the Minister of Finance, Colum Imbert, and get back to them with a response.
And that is the facts of the matter. Roger, in his fiery statement, would have reached straight up to 30% in that single clip. And if Trinidad and Tobago, that you, the average man on the street, come on social media and say to the national public at any point in time that 10% is for the 2 periods, you are a sellout to us, to the movement, to who you support, and to your country. And from there, the people in Trinidad and Tobago, the union would have heard their concern. And would have, because many people would have went to these union leaders, and in my presence, I would have seen a lady say, I just asked my daughter for some passage to come up here, and I need money to go home. I ain't gonna call the union leader name. I was right there. He take out money from my pocket and say, ma'am, hold this. I didn't look to see how much money that the union leader was handing the lady. So the union leaders is aware of your struggles. They are aware of the rate of inflation in Trinidad and Tobago. They are aware of what you are facing. Because down to Comrade Roger would have been speaking about Colin Imbert when he said he raised gas 3 times a day in riot yet. I would have seen that video played on platforms after platforms, in the full view of thousands of people. And they are aware of your struggles. And if they're coming now to tell you that we will try to stretch 10% over these 2 periods from 2013 to 2019, they are doing nothing than throwing salt in your wounds. And they are also spitting in your face, despite the fact that you have supported them. This deception runs so deep. This deception runs so deep. Right, so on TikTok day we had was to now formulate someday, or we was cut from on TikTok the last live that we were having right here on this platform. So again, the union leaders and them that is now telling you, Trinidad and Tobago, after you would have given them their support, after you would have given them get up in the morning and march to the election polls, to the polling station within your area, wake up your mother, your father, your sister, your brother, everybody, let me vote. And to know that you can get a response that you could pin down, that you could say for sure that we are going to get this 10%. Boy, heaven help us all.
Hey, y'all, come look at this.
Vote to the public servants the increases, to give you a fair wage for fair day's work, to give you your back pay.
Wait for it. Here it comes. Almost there.
Are you all setting aside money for that 10% salary increase that you were promised publicly?
God willing, we keep our promises.
So in this fiscal year coming next
God willing, we will keep our promise. Still working on it.
We must take our time now and walk through this thing. We might have to run this by our two shoes. So, just to give you guys an insight of what we are talking about, that when we start to run this thing in full swing, that you understand what we are saying. So we won't have to revert and come back and explain argumentum ad nauseum. So let me run to this message here. This was Leroy Baptiste here.
I take it just 1 minute.
You see the workers' rights flag behind?
Just wind it up. I just want all of you to remember why you're out here.
Right.
Don't forget why you're out here, comrades.
Yes.
You're out here because there is an administration that has set about by design to destroy our lives.
Correct.
Correct. Yes. To destroy our lives. Yes. We are out here because they are deliberately getting rid of all permanent jobs.
Yes. Oh my God! Oh my God!
They have our people in temporary and contract position for years.
Yes. Oh my God!
And here was worse. Paying us peppercorn salaries.
Yes.
So we have small salaries and we can't approach the bank because we're temporary.
Come on.
Comrades, we have to bring an end to that.
Yes.
We have to bring an end to that.
Yes.
If it means we have to bring an end to them.
Yes.
We must not settle this wrongs, comrades. For no peppercorn rates about increase of 4%. Get contract position for years.
Oh my God!
And here was worse. Paying us peppercorn salaries. So we have small salaries and we can't approach the bank because we're temporary.
Come on.
Comrades, we have to bring an end to that.
Yes.
We have to bring an end to that.
Yes.
If it means we have to bring an end to them.
Yes.
We must not settle this wrongs, comrades. For no peppercorn rates about increase of 4% when gas price is 121%. Let that not happen, comrades. Why are you out here? You're out here because there is someone intended for you to remain the working poor and at the same time allow the 1% to enjoy the fat of this land. That must come to an end. So I had to bring that to an end, comrades. So comrades, this is but the beginning. Make sure you're here because the comrade here will tell you what the next move and the next move and the next move. But I tell you, don't come to know. Or the next move, you know, here we need to know how this must end. It must end with you having permanent jobs. It must end with you having good paying jobs. It must end with you being able to take care of your family, your children, and your children.
Leroy Baptiste. That was in Palmis Park. In one single statement, he would have promised to bring an end to all these kind of contracting and all these work. You work in the 5 years, 6 years, make it permanent. The gas price, you throw that on the table. he would have pointed out to you, Trinidad and Tobago, and to the many of the followers within the PSA, his intentions by aligning himself with the UNC government. And what you have gained thus far. Because when he ain't talking isolation, you know. He would have included social issues within the statement. And many people that would have listened to that would have found a piece of information that they could have identified with. The gas price, they identify with that. The peppercorn, they could identify to that too. But are you, Trinidad and Tobago, after 100 days of the coalition of interest government, are you better off? Or are you going to give them indefinite time as to try to get this thing straight? I don't want to run off course, you know, because there are a lot of things that within the public domain that I really want to discuss. But yet still there are salient issues that is affecting many of you outside here and affecting our sanity and our right thinking, because some of you are asking yourself this question, and I would have gotten several messages on WhatsApp today concerning that. Many of you would have called me and messaged me and tell me, boy, what do you think about this Independence Day affair? But I will leave that for next show. In case many of you, let me go on to our next clip here, because throughout this whole entire thing, Leroy Batiste have been sowing seeds. He sow it far and he sow it abroad, that anybody could have related to his message. I showing you from the genesis of how they began to manipulate you, the average man, you, the worker, the hoist, where it starts from the inception and what you are currently receiving. Let's do the maths. Clip number 2.
My enemy. I know I'm afraid of one. I know I'm afraid of that. I only asking the questions, comrades. I asking the question. Again, who is the arch enemy of our enemy? Therefore, comrades, who is our best friend in this struggle? Comrade, this is not about who you like and who you don't like. This is about your survival. And if you don't care about yourself, you better start caring about your children and your grandchildren, comrades. This is about how we define what will be the world of work that we leave to our children and our grandchildren. If we are good with substandard wages, then run from this talk. If we are good with contract labor, then tell me to go. If we are good with a government telling you, take it, or leave it, then we good to go. But if you don't like that, if you're watching left, right, and center, the trade union movement getting lick up, workers in TSTT, workers in Petrotrain, they're coming at Wassa, they're licking up the open service. If that's what you want, then be afraid of this. But my God, maybe some people are accustomed to abuse. We have grown accustomed to abuse. But I'll tell you this, if you could take the abuse for yourself, my God, you owe it to your children and your grandchildren to leave a better place of work for them.
Now, any logical person that would have listened to that statement, it would have said to them this, that the previous government sending home people, the previous government making sure that you ain't get nothing, suffering you underneath tyranny. And what they have now telling you, that if you support the opposition, that it ain't having no going home for you. It ain't having no going home for you at the end of the day. But little do you know, citizens of the Republic, that that statement was far from the truth. That was the beginning of the 10% heist. And many of the people there that have been chanting within that crowd, they know that when people get elected, that is a day for you.
Leader, Mr. Clyde Elder, comes publicly as a minister in a government and says that the workers are collateral damage. Hard luck.
At this point in time, unfortunately, because of what we had, they have become now collateral damage, but we are going to see about that.
Mr. Clyde Elder comes publicly as a minister in a government and says that the workers are collateral damage. Hard luck.
Former CPAC workers say they remain in limbo following the termination of over 300 contracts.
Landlord coming by the door. Landlord knocking on your door. You can't afford to pay rent. They put in all your stuff at the side of the road. That is embarrassment.
They say that will be rehab, but when? If they could tell me again 1 month salary, after that 1 month salary, what you'll be telling me again?
I want to know when will we be getting back the CPAC work and how soon and how sure this is for us, because you know.
This blame of parents for the scourge of crime. I could have never thought, not for a moment, that when you elect a government and you pay your taxes, that somehow it would become unreasonable to expect them to secure your life and your property. I would have thought that your security was the primary reason for the need of a government. Here what is also true, that there is a correlation between poverty and crime. Therefore, if the government wants to impact crime, it must treat with working class issues, comrade. It must ensure that working class parents have good paying jobs. Do you agree? It must ensure that working class parents could afford a home in order to provide a shelter for their families. Do you agree, comrade? It must ensure working class parents can put food on the table. Do you agree, comrades? It must ensure that working class parents' salaries are kept in step with inflation so that they can maintain their standard of living. Do you agree, comrades? It must ensure that parents have permanent jobs to enable them to plan and organize their lives. Do you agree, comrades? It must ensure that working class parents could provide a nurturing environment with support structures such as school supervision, after school supervision, babysitters, lessons, to create an enabling environment for their children to benefit from schooling. Do you agree, comrades? In short, comrades, government's policies can impact the ability of parents to adequately take care of their family. Where government fails, family fails. Let me repeat.
Former CPAP workers say they remain in limbo following the termination of over 300 contracts.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is very serious here in Trinidad and Tobago. Why you think I am doing this? Why you think? Do you not think that I could have said something after the fact? Why you think that I am calling them out at this time, at this early stage? Why do you think that I am calling for resolution as to this 10% issue? This is not to spite you, the worker. This is not to spite no government. This year is to ensure that they keep with their promise to give you. I don't work in PSC. I not working with no government service. This is to ensure that you, Trinidad, the membership of these unions and them that would have promised you the membership, that if you give your support to a government, that you will reap the benefits. This is to call to account their many promises in which they would have made to you, not me. I not working in no public service. I is not a member of the PSA. This in doing me nothing than hear what it putting me in harm's way, because there are people that have the money and the means to do what? To put out a hit on me. And I am doing this because some of you are just too coward as to say anything. Some of you are just suffering and are saying, oh God, let me hear something, I hope. But we're not getting it from in the camp that we in. And when I am talking, what I am talking about, or who I am speaking of, is the UNC government. Many of the membership inside of the UNC government is saying what is taking place with the promises that they would have promised us on inception. Many of you would have been tabulating what we're going to do with this 10%, and we are not hearing anything that could certify to us. Only these ministers and them ending up on board positions. what many of you outside there in the public domain have to ask these talk show hosts and them folks that no matter what, that the side they are supporting them like this. Yeah, we see it blind. And that is the single most dangerous thing that they could ever have in any society. Call up their radio program, call up the same talk shows and them, call up their programs and tell them, say, boy, girl, brother, before election, there was certain things that was promised to us. And until present, we are not getting it. We are not seeing it. We are not hearing anything. If you feel that stand your ground laws is more important than your back pay at this point in time, or you come out and say, I come out for this thing one time. If you feel that is more important than your back pay, I come off this immediately. Because many of you would have went through the Jones, would have believed in the promises, and is waiting now for the deliverance and is not getting it. I ain't asking, I'm telling you. And the heights of hypocrisy is to make you feel shame for saying anything. Here is what is some of the comments that you are going to be hearing from those that supporting like this, with their hand in their faces. 9 years pass and you ain't say nothing. Oh God, the government now come in power. He's a PNM. That is why some of the comments that many of you are going to be getting. For what? For what? For talking out. For speaking up. And for talking facts. And for calling to account everybody in government. Both sides of the fence. Which is your constitutional right, Trinidad and Tobago, to speak on things that is affecting you in your country, and the government that you put there is to listen and to adhere to what you were saying. That is your constitutional rights. Don't let nobody shame you into believing otherwise. Don't let nobody come out and say, boy, use a PNM. Wait, you're not patient. This man, he vexed. He ain't get nothing, so he talking out. So don't let nobody embarrass you into silence. Your back pay, how you see about your family, how you see about yourself is important. Your health is important first. And many of you struggling to make ends meet. Because inflation drowning oil and killing oil. And because I support a government. I support an administration, a party. That I could watch Trinidad and Tobago crash and burn. And they could advantage who don't want to advantage. Make certain people homeless who don't want to stay homeless. And make them unable to see about their families. Yeah. Many of you, and I am calling on you, Trinidad and Tobago, the people, to think, use this. I know I stray from the point a little bit, but I am going to hold it up right there. I am going to hold it up right there. And there must be a second part to this, because we have to run through all of these things here this evening. So we don't know his collateral damage already. This 10% heist.
First Peter chapter 3, verses 8 to 12. Finally, all of you, be like-minded, be sympathetic, love one another, be compassionate and humble. Do not repay evil with evil or insult with insult. On the contrary, repay evil with blessing, because to this you were called, so that you may inherit a blessing. For whoever would love life and see good days must keep their tongue from evil and their lips from deceitful speech. They must turn from evil and do good. They must seek peace and pursue it. For the eyes of the Lord are on the righteous, and his ears are attentive to their prayers. But the face of the Lord is against those who do evil. First Peter chapter 3, verses 8 to 12. Finally, all of you, be like-minded, be sympathetic, love one another, be compassionate and humble. Do not repay evil with evil or insult with insult. On the contrary, repay evil with blessing, because to this you were called, so that you may inherit a blessing. For whoever would love life and see good days must keep their tongue from evil and their lips from deceitful speech. They must turn from evil and do good. They must seek peace and pursue it. For the eyes of the Lord are on the righteous, and his ears are attentive to their prayers. But the face of the Lord is against those who do evil.
Well, I hope that Kamala Prasad Bissessa really understand what she would have just said. And in closing, people, citizens of the Republic, there is some serious business now that I have to attend to. Ask questions. Don't give up. Don't let them fool you and lull you into silence. Call upon those for answers. Those that would have lead you down a path, ask them for answers now. Ask them, plead with them, tell them that you would have supported a cause and you want retribution. And that is my last thoughts here on this matter. When they are telling you no retreat, no surrender, solidarity forever, when they are telling you that, they are surrendering to board positions. To ride in a Prado, to a cold beer with bacon shark in the Hilton. That is what they are surrendering to. When they are off cameras, it's not solidarity, it's selloutarity. These union leaders and them are selling out faster than a doubles on a Friday morning when they don't get paid. The doubles and a, not a coffee, but a red solo. And it's you, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, asked to catch.
We must be more innovative. We must create meaningful opportunities and do right by all people so that we are all united as a nation and we can then step boldly into future with confidence.
Former CPAP workers say they remain in limbo following the termination of over 300 contracts.
Our highest priority will be not just to communicate with you, but to commune with you. I will never be detached from your feelings and aspirations. I will never do my own thing while the country cries out for their needs. I will always be listening. I will be following you. You will be my priority. You must always know that you now have leaders who care and understand your problems.
Landlord coming by the door. Landlord knocking on your door. You can't afford to pay rent. The toilet, they put in all your stuff at the side of the road. That is embarrassment.
I will never do my own thing while the country cries out.
They say that will be hard, but when? If they could tell me again 1 month salary, after that 1 month salary, what you'll be telling me again?
I will never do my own thing while the country cries out.
I want to know when will we be getting back the CPAP work and how soon and how sure this is for us.
I will never do my own thing while the country cries out. If you're UNC, if you're TPP, PNM, PEP, or any other affiliation, I see you. You'll be treated equally and fairly. I made a promise that everybody will win, and I plan to fulfill that promise. I will never do my own thing while the country cries out. I will never do my own thing while the country cries out.
Former CPAP workers say they remain in limbo following the termination of over 300 contracts.
Right. Good afternoon again. Where's my manners? Thanks to the many of you that have been joining us. Would have joined us on Facebook, on YouTube, on TikTok. Thanks for joining us here on and it's such short notice today. So, to one of our number one supporter on TikTok, Lisha, good afternoon. Hard Knocks, good afternoon. I see Lyndon Mark there in the comment. Good afternoon, Lyndon Mark. Miss Lizami, good afternoon. Smiley, Slimy, good afternoon to you. And to the people who was calling us this afternoon, good afternoon to you. We did not open up the lines this afternoon and to talk about this issue. On the next show concerning this, stay tuned because we will be posting it on TikTok. Our page on TikTok is Workers' Rights 868 on TikTok. And we are going to be posting the next time that we are going live, a matter of fact, concerning different issues and to talk about the different topics that is related to us here and affecting us here in Trinidad and Tobago. And without further ado, I would like to say condolences to the bus driver that would have died, his family that would have died. Condolences to his family, the bus driver, concerning the bus driver that would have died on the highway. That was a very tragic thing, to go to work. And when you leave the door, what is going to take place? I mean, you kiss your wife, you kiss your child, and only to hear that you find out, the dead. That is not a good reality as to wake up with. And to the many of you outside there that have been listening, this is not an attack on any party. This is simply facts that we are presenting to tickle the way that you think, to put some spin on some of the thoughts that you are having in your head and the comments that you are seeing within the social domain. Because there are people that is competing for your attention and giving way to people that have no good intention will destroy you, will destroy your concept of reality. So, the man that would have said truth set free. If UNC is saying that contracts were given to the PNM friends and supporters, who would the UNC giving contracts to? It cannot be their friends and supporters, so it must be given. So I believe it must be given to who? Big statement. It must be given to who? And that is the question here. Who they giving it to? Are they just going and just hand a man a contract in the hand and saying, you hold this? We playing smart with foolishness here in Trinidad and Tobago. And the thing about it is this. We must be mindful of some of the things that we are saying. People is listening. Thanks for watching. And I am out. Trinidad and Tobago.